И настанет день, когда Путин и те, кто помогал ему разрушать нашу страну, сами окажутся на скамье подсудимых. Убив Алексея, Путин убил половину меня, половину моего сердца и половину моей души.
What an honor to be sitting here with you today, Yulia. Really, everyone in this room admires your courage so much. It's been 14 months since you and the world, of course, lost Alexei Navalny, and you've had so little time to mourn, really. I mean, just hours after you learned of his death, you were due to speak at the Munich Security Conference, which remarkably you did with so much incredible composure. How did you learn the news that you dreaded? And can you tell us a little bit about that day, that dreadful day?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for your kind words. I think it's just because you did such beautiful video about me. Thank you about it. I was in Munich, as you probably all know. It is annual Munich Security Conference, and I had some meetings, nothing special, not very big meetings. And I was just preparing for these meetings and came to the room and took a look at the phone, and it was written, Alexei Navalny died. And, you know, we had believed in so many years in such situation when there is a lot of disinformation, misinformation about us, about Alexei, some kind of strange things all the time. The government officials, Kremlin, they invent all these criminal cases, all these strange things. That's why the first second was, you know, it's something not true. They invented something, and it couldn't be true. And I decided to, and Alexei was so far in this penal colony, and unfortunately that day lawyer didn't visit. It wasn't possible to ask lawyer to visit him. So I decided not to believe them, because, you know, it's better not to believe to Kremlin in any cases. That's why I just decided to be calm, to wait some kind of sources to which I can believe. Of course, you know, from other side, there were more media publishing this news and so on, but still I was trying, you know, not to believe, not because, of course, I didn't want, but also because it's better not to do this. But then Alexei's mom went to penal colony, and everything started to be clear. And probably a lot of you were watching all this news that we had really problem just to get Alexei from this penal colony because they didn't want to give us even his body back. And his mom is absolutely hero. She was fighting almost 1 week just to get this body to be able to bring it to Moscow.
Unbelievable ordeal for you. You and Alexei were soulmates, really, for 26 years. You met as young students on a trip to Turkey, and he says it was love at first sight when he locked eyes with you through a bus window. In July 2023, from prison, he wrote, "It all worked out purely by chance with Yulia. I might have looked in the wrong direction. You might have turned the other way. The instant that has defined my life might have passed differently, and everything would have been different." Makes me cry. Did you feel the same way when you saw him through the bus?
You know, I liked him very much. I couldn't say you these feelings like he tells you, but then it was all the time competition between us, saying like who loves each other more, so I think that we were lucky that every year this love was stronger and stronger. It's really true. And when people sometimes, not sometimes, if you read about love, it's very often written like, in Russian we say love lives 3 years. And I was the very lucky person to know that love continues all the life and became just stronger because you know this person better. You, in our situation, you share a lot of views. You understand many things without you couldn't live together. So the first moment I liked him, but it was this feeling was growing and growing.
Growing, beautiful. Well, of course, the world asks again and again, and I know you've been asked again and again, why did Alexei go back to Russia, knowing he would almost certainly be arrested and imprisoned? And you went with him on that last fatal journey.
Well, I think that the right answer will be that he never left Russia. We all the time, and people, when they ask us why he came back, it looks like he left Russia and then he decided to come back. But situation like this, he was poisoned. And we knew that it's not possible to treat him well in Russian hospital. And I was very scared that it will be another poisoning attempt. And that's why we brought him to Berlin and to Charité hospital in Berlin, because I trusted to these doctors, but it was just because he poisoned. And it was obvious for me while he was in coma. And of course it happened when he opened his eyes and started to understand something during first several days. He told me that I'm going, of course, back. There were no discussion, and that's why he, as I have already mentioned, he never left Russia. He wanted to live in Russia. He was a Russian politician. He wanted to be with his supporters. He wanted to change a lot in Russia, and as we see, he was right in this, and now it's obvious that he was the strongest opponent to Vladimir Putin. That's why he poisoned him. That's why he put him in prison. That's why he killed him.
Well, after his death, of course, you could have withdrawn from public life. I mean, no one would have blamed you if you had decided to just, withdraw from public life. But you've taken on Alexei's mantle and picked up his fight. And when did you realize that you must be the one now to lead his movement?
I absolutely remember this second, probably, when I was suggested in Munich to go to the main stage.
Yeah.
And Alexei's allies and team, part of our team, they were with me, and then they asked me, like, if you don't want, you cannot to go. And I just knew that there is no, I just realized at one moment that there is no any other possibility. And if they killed Alexei and I would stay keeping silence, it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be not right for his memory, for my inside feelings, for everything, for supporters, for everything he did. And I just knew at that moment that there is no other choice, and they suggested me, probably you are just in such a situation now, and if you don't want, you cannot go. But I knew that I want, and it was important for me. And we're discussing this moment now, and I'm sure that it's very important, because in Kremlin, and they know that this moment seen all the world.
Yeah. Did you and Alexei ever talk about the possibility that at some point, he might be perhaps in prison for the rest of his life, that you might take up his mantle when he was no longer able to?
We knew that it would happen, that if he would be imprisoned one day, he could stay in prison for many years. It was obvious. Putin scared him a lot. He sent him from one penal colony to other penal colony. My husband, prison conditions were just terrible. They were trying not to feed him. They didn't allow him to visit doctors, and he spent almost more than 1 year in small cell, solitary cell. It was just small room, 2 or 3 square meters, and it was just bad, and it wasn't allowed to even sit down on this bed during the day and not to lie. And he was allowed to have just one book, nothing else. And he wasn't allowed, how it's in prison, probably, of course, there are very different conditions in Russia, in Europe, in prisons, but still you're allowed to have telephone calls, meeting with your family if you have, to get some packages from friends and from family, and they didn't allow Alexei to get anything. And the last time we spoke with him, it was 1 year before he was killed. Right. They never give us even to have telephone calls.
Yeah. Well, I think some people don't realize that you were actually your husband's key political strategist throughout his life. I think people don't sort of realize that. And now you have the immense challenge of doing this yourself, but without that soulmate that you were for him, without that political partner at home. So your situation is sort of, as a leader, is a much more lonely one than his.
That's true. Of course, now I understand that together, of course, it was much, much easier, and he probably knew, and it gave him strength. When he went back home, I was there. Unfortunately, now I am in this case in more complicated situation, but Alexei's memory, Alexei's legacy gives me a lot of strength, and I think that my motivation after everything they did with our family is tremendous, and I am going to do anything possible to change this regime, to be loud, to speak about who's Mr. Putin. And I think it's very important to use this voice and to show them if they kill people, there are some other people who don't afraid, who stand on their places and continue to fight, to speak, to be loud.
Well, your husband always felt that he had to be in Russia to be the leader, which is, of course, why he went back. But you're fighting from exile. It's very, very different, completely different kind of challenge. How are you sort of dealing with that? And also, stepping into the role, are you now more comfortable to being out front?
You are right, of course. Let's start from the beginning. To live in exile, very difficult. There are a lot of people, from different countries now live in exile. And I myself, flew from Russia with one cabin-size suitcase. That's it. And then my mom packed some things and sent to me. And coming back to your question, of course, it's very difficult to work from exile. But still, we Anti-Corruption Foundation, which was founded by my husband more than 10 years ago, we continue to work from exile. We are doing almost all the work which we be able to do from Russia. Of course, the main thing which is very difficult is to be in contact with a lot of people who are still in Russia. Russia is a huge country. Yes, we can see probably a lot of people and feel that a lot of people left country, but of course, the major population is inside, and there are a lot of supporters inside, and they, of course, now in a very difficult situation. They're afraid to be imprisoned, they're afraid to be sent to the war, and some of them are able to escape and to brave enough to leave country and to start the new life, because it's one more challenge. But there are a lot of them inside country, and we are now called extremist organization, and me, person itself, is called extremist, and to have the contact with them, not from one side and from other side, not to put them in a dangerous situation. This balance, to keep this balance, is all the time very difficult.
Yeah, well, you have 3 YouTube channels with your foundation, and millions of followers. So clearly that is penetrating. I mean, everyone wants to know what is going to happen, the day after Putin, as it were. I mean, if the regime, collapses, I mean, it could be tomorrow, it could be 10 years. Are you ready to return immediately to Russia and try to be its leader?
Well, let's start from the YouTube channels. You're right, we have 3 YouTube channels. One of them has 6 million subscribers, and 2 others have 3 million subscribers, and I am very proud of this, especially with one of them, which we just started after the war. Ukraine has started, and in 3 years we got more than 3 million subscribers. It means people are interested, and we also can see that mostly these people, by statistics, that mostly these people, they are from Russia. So they are seeking the independent sources of information. They are watching our channels, and our channels, it just, YouTube political channels. We are doing news, we are doing political videos. Of course, we are very famous with our anti-corruption investigations. And we are doing interviews with people who are in exile, but who influencers in different fields, but who are against war, who are against Putin. And it takes a big part of our job, of course. And speaking about coming back, I'm just dreaming to come back. Me, like person, I never wanted to leave Russia as well. And my two children, just I think they will be just more fast than I am. They are just dreaming to come back. They love Russia. They were born in Moscow. It's their home city, and they want to live in Russia and come back. And speaking about political side, of course, we are trying to do our best what we can do here, and to prepare for all the changes which I hope will happen one day. We are working now a lot on about future program, what to do if Putin, we all hope, will just disappear one day. And just I'm here today, and tomorrow I'm flying to Vilnius, where I have my own forum, and we're discussing all the changes which should be done on economic field, law field, about constitution, about education. We are trying to catch all the fields and to discuss a lot.
And sort of prepare a government in waiting, essentially.
That sounds very great, preparing government, but we are working on changes which could bring our country to a good democratic future.
So what do you make of America's turn towards Putin under Trump? I mean, this is a blow, really, that America now is moving closer, it seems, to Putin. What are your views about that?
I don't think that America is moving to Putin. America is a huge country again, and I think that President Trump promised some kind of ending the war and so on. That's why, of course, he needs to do some steps. But what worries me that he deals with Putin like they are equal politicians, but they are not. Putin never participated in normal, honest elections. President Trump, people can love him like every president, not love him, but he won in these elections and he's president of the big country. And Vladimir Putin is called the president of Russian Federation, but nobody knows and nobody can check anything about these elections. So, after the elections and before the elections, I was trying to apply to European governments not to count Putin like a president, because how he could call president without elections? And about all these meetings and discussions between Americans and Russians, what worries me a lot that they give Putin this strength again, like he's counted in the world, everybody turn to him, everybody wants to meet with him, and I think that's a big problem. It gives him much more power than he had 1 year ago.
So what are your thoughts about the US-Russia negotiations with Ukraine? How will they end, would you say?
It's very difficult to predict. I think that what is important in this negotiation that Ukraine should be part of these negotiations, how Russia and Americans could negotiate about Ukraine without Ukrainians.
Mm-hmm. Would you meet with Trump if you can, yourself?
We'll see. He never invited me.
Okay. Yulia, there's so many things that we want to know, but last July the Kremlin issued a warrant for your arrest, so it takes enormous bravery for you to be speaking out. And how much sort of has your life, what is your daily life? I mean, how do you cope with being a focus of so much on the one hand, all this kind of incredible attention and adulation, on the other hand, the fear really that you must be under. You now have to have bodyguards all the time.
Well, it's very funny situation about this warrant about me, because so I, as you know, probably a lot of you, that it was the book Alexei's memoirs were published last autumn, and I work very close with editor on this book, and it was during summer when they did this warrant to me, and I just was working all the day, and we had very short period of time where we need to be, the book need to be finished and so on, and I started to get messages on different chats like congratulations and so on, and I was like, what happened? And from social media I just discovered that there is criminal case against me, that there is like trial against me, and there is this warrant arrest against me. I knew nothing about this, and it doesn't scare me. Of course, here, let's be honest, what to scare? If I'm here, they can do this like 20 warrants. But from the other side, I don't like all this, when people write me, not me, to each other, congratulations, you are called foreign agent and so on. Nothing good in this. So they just calling by these like spies, foreign agents, betrayers, the best people from Russia. They just pushing all these people to leave Russia, to live in exile, and that's awful, because I'm scared and I'm working a lot. It never happened that half of these people would never come back to Russia. And it's very important for me, one day they would love to come back, because to build the new Russia, because of course they are pushing like people who are able to start the new life, people who are able to find job here. Of course, Russia, the future Russia, needs these people a lot.
Mm-hmm. And do you have a message for everybody here today? Is there anything you would like to say that could help your mission going forward?
Well, just do everything possible that help us in any ways, and you have your voice in your media everywhere. Help us that Putin will be in power much less than everybody expects, and it will be for sure one day democratic, free Russia, and we will be able to live there like me. You will be able to come like a journalist there, and it's very important for us to make this day happen as soon as possible.
Yulia Navalnaya, I want to thank you.
Thank you.